We all know that adding space to your web page is very important. And this can be done in a number of ways. We do it with padding, we do it with margins, but many apps also give you all of that combined into one element that you can easily drag onto your page and use it to create that space that you need, especially between vertical elements. And that is called the spacer. Stackable has a great flexible and responsive spacer, and we're going to apply it to this hero section. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back. My name is JP, and this is Website for Beginners. Now, WordPress does come with a spacer. If we go to the block section and you look for spacer, you're going to see that we have the WordPress spacer, and this is the one from Stackable. I don't use the WordPress one for some reason. After all this time, they've not included responsive settings. So once you set it on your desktop, that space is going to stay the same for tablet and mobile, which is not what we want. Stackable solves that for us with this great element, the spacer element. Let's click, hold, and drag it, and I'll drop it between this heading block I have here and then a text element below that. Once I drop it onto the page, you will see the bounding box, and there is a handle at the bottom. Hover over it and you see we have a heads-up display of 50 pixels, and to add the space, you simply hold down and you drag, and you see up and down. Interestingly is that this spacer will lock at every 50 pixels or so. So it's going to lock at 50 pixels and 100 pixels. And if I drag it more, it's going to lock again at 150. Those hard stops have been added at every 50 pixels. If you want to dial it in to something more specific than that, you can select the heads-up display and type in the value you want, like 75 pixels. Or you can do it over there on the right in the inspector. Make sure the block is selected. We go to General. We have a slider here, and that gives us, again, that control by adding the values with the slider, or you can select the value box and type in the values you want. I always like this little reset option here, and that gives us the default value that was set to the block as we dragged it in the first time. And that's it. Interestingly enough, there are two more options that you can add to the spacer. You can actually apply a background, and you can do that with a gradient. You can upload an image or a video, but remember your content area of the spacer is always going to be empty space. But it may be that you want to create a nice thick bar like this. Then that could be the design that you are going for. Also, you have the option to add borders and shadow. Maybe add a double border at the top and bottom. Again, some design flair that you want to add to your page. Very important then before we leave is that whole responsiveness thing I was going on about at the beginning of this video. Go back to General. Next to Height, you will see we have this little icon. You can set your responsiveness over here by selecting Tablet, or then of course you can select Mobile. It can also be done here in the top of the toolbar by selecting the different responsive displays. I like to use it on the page, and the reason for that is then I'm sure that I'm exactly where I want to be. Let's go with the tablet and change the value here. Let's make it smaller. I'm going to make it 25 in this case. And by doing that, you see it lights up in yellow with a little yellow dot showing us that we have applied this responsive styling. We again have to reset next to that. Select below that mobile device, and this time I'm going to add a little more space. Let's make this one 75. And to test whether these responsive settings have been locked in, let's use the top selector. I'll go to desktop again. We see it's at 50, then tablet, 25, and mobile at 75. This is what I like about this spacer. Gives me all that control to make sure it looks good on all the devices. Great block element that comes with Stackable, one of my favorites. Remember to subscribe and give us a like for this video. I'll see you in the next.